Ladies and gentlemen, UFC 311 might be one of the better cards we've seen since UFC 300. All right, UFC 311 holds two title bouts, two very, very high-level title bouts. We got Jamal Hill, Yuri Prochazka. We got Renato Moicano versus Beneil Dariush. We got Reinier de Ridder taking on Kevin Holland. The matchup nobody saw coming. It's going to be a great card. That's the main card I just laid out for you. The prelims are actually pretty spectacular as well. A lot of great matchups to go through and break down. I'm very excited for this Saturday. We haven't had a pay-per-view in over a month. It's a good offering to start 2025. I'm very, very intrigued by this one. I'm very intrigued to go through all these fights and break them down with you. I'm going to give you my early lean, my early pick for every single fight on the card. I'll give you a breakdown of all of them as well. But before we get into UFC 311, let's talk about last week. UFC Vegas 101. I believe I went 10-4 on my official picks, which is pretty decent, but honestly, I could care less about the picks because I'm more interested in making money. And we made some money on UFC Vegas 101. All right, we hit 3 underdogs, which was pretty nice. I only bet 3 underdogs, and all 3 underdogs hit. I think there was 5 underdogs that came through on the card, and I got 3 of them. So that's decent. Plus 220, plus 160, plus 230. I'm about it. Parlay smacked. Hit a nice little prop on Felipe Bunes by sub. That was a nice little hit, and the round prop bet hit as well. So we were up 6.48 units on the straight bets and the parlays. Those are in the Homo Fight Picks Premium membership in the Winnable. There's a link down in the description, to join. The DFS plays were not good, though. The DFS plays were not good, but I'm not worried about it because if you followed the channel for a long time, you know the DFS plays have been an absolute cook. So you have one bad week, you lose 4 units. I got 4 plays out there. I'm putting 1 unit on each. You lose 4 units. It is what it is. We could easily sweep next week. Then we make 8 units, and then we're positive. I'm not worried about it whatsoever. We took a couple bad beats on the lines. I think we got hooked on 2 of them, so that's tough. Once again, if you want those bets, jump in the Homo Fight Picks Premium membership. So net profit through one card on the year, we're positive 2.48 units in 2025. So looking to add to that, link down in the description below. You can use my code HeyJob. You'll get a 5-day free trial. We'll go over it later throughout the video as well. But let's get into it with the early picks, the early leans for UFC 311. So this is a short notice bout. Bogdan Guskov was supposed to take on Johnny Walker, and I was licking my chops to take a little Bogdan Guskov KO ticket. All right, I ain't been a Johnny Walker guy ever since he fought Anthony Smith. Guskov got some hands on him. All right, and Guskov coming off that big knockout win to Ryan Spann, which was somewhat impressive to me because Ryan Spann's not an easy guy to deal with. Ryan Spann's not the best fighter, but he made it look fairly easy. I mean, he dealt with what Spann gave him in the first, trying to grapple him, dealt with that, came out in round 2, and ultimately got the TKO victory. It looked great. He's taking on Billy Elekana here. Watch some tape on this guy. I'm not super impressed, to be honest. He's 6'2", 77-inch reach, which he'll match up nicely with Guskov. I think he's got a decent frame. I think he's pretty athletic. But overall, I think the guy he's very green. He doesn't really throw with a lot of intent. It's a lot of feelers. It's a lot of little feeler leg kicks, feeler jabs. Doesn't really let his hands go too often. And for a light heavyweight, he only has like 3 knockouts. You got to be a little bit more dangerous in there when you're a light heavyweight. He's getting into a lot of these fights where he's either grappling himself or his opponent's trying to grapple him. And he doesn't look to be like a great grappler either. Like, I just don't really think this guy is all that great. And his only loss comes to this one guy. Forget his name. But he looked like, I think he was like 34 when they fought. He looked like a Matt Brown at light heavyweight. He's got like the belly tattoos, like the trunks that go down past your knees. It was a bad loss, man. It was a bad loss. And I just don't really know that he comes in here, UFC debut against a Guskov who's dangerous as ever on the feet. Really solid boxing. And can knock your head off with one punch. I don't see it going well for him. So I think Guskov probably takes this one. I think he probably gets him out of there within round 1 or round 2. But Billy's not a guy that takes a lot of risks. So maybe that'll give Guskov a little bit of trouble trying to figure out how to hit this guy when he's not really willing to be hit. We'll see. But I think either way, Guskov will win this fight. He'll be my early pick. I don't really see that one changing. I think he's about a -3 30 favorite right now, so he is a favorite. I expect him to be a favorite. I expected him to be a sizable favorite because I don't really think Billy is all that great. Maybe he could be something, but he's still very green, and I don't really think his skills are UFC level right now. It's just going to be a tough fight for him. So give me Guskov for the early pick on that one, and let's move on. Great matchup here. I love this one. Tagir Ulanbekov. So Tagir is one of these Khabib guys. I could not stop laughing at the joke that Islam made about Tagir. They were talking about how it was like windy in the mountains and they can't let Tagir like hang out outside because he might blow away because he's so small and so thin that he might blow away. Islam's a funny dude, man. Funny freaking dude. But either way, I mean, Tagir is a very thin, tall, lanky guy who likes to grapple, but he likes to grapple for the submission. On the feet, not very high volume, but he's going to pick his shots. He's a Dagestani, I don't want to say Dagestani kickboxer, but he has the Dagestani kickboxing type of style where he's not going to be throwing caution to the wind and getting countered and getting hit with big shots. He's going to pick his shots. He's going to look for takedowns, and he's going to look for the submissions on the ground with those long limbs. Clayton Carpenter, pretty solid little prospect here. I think Clayton has a decent chance to win this one, but it might just come down to the lack of inexperience because he's not a guy that's been super active over the last 2 to 3 years. He had a nice little fight on the Contender Series, looked great, comes in the UFC, beats a bum. Last time out against Lucas Roca, he did what he needed to do, got him down to the ground. I think it was a submission, it might have been a TKO, but pretty much had his way with Lucas Roca. Looked real good. His stand-up is solid. It's solid enough. It's serviceable, but he wants to get this fight to the ground, and I think if he tries to get this fight to the ground, he can have some success, but he's putting himself into danger because Ulanbekov can grapple, and he's probably going to find a dangerous spot at least once, if not twice, in this fight to where Clayton Carpenter's going to have to show that he's at the level of grappling where he can fend off some of these submission attempts. I don't know if it's going to be there, considering he's 8 now. He's a good grappler, don't get me wrong, but he's 28 with 8 professional fights. I think there could just be levels to this, and I think Tagir probably wins it. I think I could see a submission from Tagir here. Either way, I think he'll probably win a decision if he doesn't get him out of there. So get me Tagir Ulanbekov to get this one done. I think he's a minus 350 favorite or somewhere around there. That's a bit steep. It's a bit steep because Clayton's a good prospect, and if he is on that level, being that, I don't want to say he's young, but he's young in his MMA career. Being that young in his MMA career, if he is on that level, we could see it on Saturday night, and being a big dog, he could come through. But either way, I think Ulanbekov takes this one. I'll take it for the early pick. Let's move on. Grant Dawson taking on Diego Ferreira. I love the matchup. I love the matchup because Diego, even at 40 years of age, it's actually his birthday on January 18th. So he's going to be 40. Don't love that. But even at 40, the guy still looks like he wants to be there, still looks like he's in good shape, and he always has had the skills to deal with really tough wrestlers and just really good competition overall. Grant Dawson, he's just going to bring that pace. He's going to bring the pace of the wrestling. He's going to get on top of you. He's going to land a bunch of ground and pound. He's going to look to snatch in a body triangle, get to your back, control you on the ground, and go to work from there. And I think he could have some success doing that. But Diego is so good being just scrambly on the bottom and just not accepting positions that, you know, it could wear on Grant Dawson, just not being able to hold him down and do what he needs to do. The one thing that I could see Grant really trying to do in this fight is to get to the back, get the body triangle in, to sort of calm Diego down, get in a position to where he can hold him there, to where Diego can't scramble out of him, because it's really hard to get out of a body triangle. And Grant has a really good back take, really good body triangle, and he'll keep you there for a long time. So I think Grant's going to be able to get takedowns on Diego. Diego's definitely going to be the better striker, but Grant's not a guy that's just going to go in there and strike with guys. So he's probably going to be able to get takedowns on Diego. I think he'll be able to grind on Diego a little bit. I think Diego will put up a good fight for the first 7.5 minutes, and it'll be tough for Grant. But if Grant can continue to just keep the pressure, continue with the wrestling, get to the back, get to the body triangle, he's going to have a lot of success. And I think later in the fight, we could see a submission from Grant Dawson here, or just a decision victory. So I think Grant Dawson is the rightful favorite. I think he's sitting about minus 260 right now. I'm not huge on, taking that kind of chalk against Diego, proven vet, but he is 40 years of age. You got to expect a decline. His win over Robetsky looks good because Robetsky just beat Miktabek Orolbai, but Robetsky is a known gasser. He's a known gasser. He gassed out bad, and Diego kind of took over from there. And then before that, it was Michael Johnson. Before that, he was on a 3-fight losing streak, and he was tapping to strikes to Mateusz Gamrot. So you got to take that into account a little bit. I think Grant Dawson wins this one. I'll take Grant Dawson for the early pick via getting the takedowns, getting the body triangle, controlling, and maybe getting a late finish, but probably winning a decision over Diego. Ricky Turcios, Bernardo Sopaj. Sopaj and Turcios were supposed to fight last year. I was kind of upset that it didn't happen because I had a great little play on it. But now I don't know how to feel about it. I really don't. Because I think Turcios, he's a big dog in this one, and he's always going to go in there and try to scrap it out. He's going to be very jittery, very tough to control. But I don't know that he does anything super well. He's just kind of there being awkward. And Bernardo is a great prospect, and I think he can get takedowns easily on Turcios because Turcios has terrible takedown defense. But the thing with Turcios is he's willing to get taken down and then just keep standing up. Slap you in the face, get taken down, keep standing up. And towards the end of the fight, that's where I could see Turcios start to take over if Sopaj's cardio doesn't hold up. But Sopaj looks to be a very dominant grappler when he gets you down to the ground. Looked great in his UFC debut, was looking amazing till he gassed out, and then he got brutally knocked out, and that was his last fight. So he's had one UFC fight where he looked good until he gassed, and then he got brutally knocked out, and now he's a big favorite to Ricky Turcios, who I've never thought highly of, but he is capable of going in there and weathering the storm and taking over late. Is he going to land a flying knee knockout like Vinicius Oliveira? Probably not, but he might be able to put a little pressure on Bernardo later in the fight and can make it interesting. Either way, I think Bernardo is the rightful favorite. It is way too rich for my liking, but I think he could probably win this fight by getting takedowns because Turcios does not have takedown defense whatsoever, and I think Bernardo's stand-up is good enough earlier on in the fight to deal with Turcios. Turcios is not a dangerous guy on the feet whatsoever, so give me Bernardo Sopaj to win this one. Taking another favorite for my early pick there. Yeah, so it's a lot of chalk on this card, so you gotta be wary a little bit. Peyton Talbott, Raoni Barcelos. Peyton Talbott's minus 1,200. We're never going to see Peyton Talbott, at a playable price anymore, which kind of sucks. But either way, we'll break down the fight. Raoni is an older guy who's definitely past his prime, but he is very skilled. And I don't know that he can present a lot of problems to Peyton, but he can put up a little bit of a fight. Like, he's a solid striker, solid wrestling, solid BJJ. It's just a solid vet. And it's a good test for Peyton Talbott because Peyton Talbott is one of these guys that it's almost like he's reached Bo Nickel status to where his betting line is just never playable. And he's expected to go in there and roll over everybody. And he rolled over his last opponent in 18 seconds, and he looked great. But the thing with Peyton is, he doesn't have the best takedown defense, and he's hittable. But he's able to work through that because he gets taken down and he gets back up. He gets hit with something, he just doesn't react to it whatsoever. The guy's got a rock-solid chin. He has insane forward pressure, insane volume, and he has really solid striking. And when I say solid striking, I mean he's not just throwing caution to the wind, like just throwing stuff to throw stuff. He's throwing it with intent, and he's just trying to break you down as the fight goes on. And that's kind of where I could see happening here, is Peyton's just kind of breaking him down. Probably finds a late second, early third round finish in this one. I don't really see him going out there and starching Raoni Barcelos unless he just lands a big right hand. Giannis Gamori throwing a leg kick when they're in the pocket. Like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Peyton Talbott's the pick. I don't think Raoni's going to have a ton of success with the wrestling. Maybe he tries to go to it. I don't know. I think they probably just throw him in here to see where Peyton Talbott is. If he just runs through him, then they can kind of assess where he's at in the UFC, because Raoni's a tough vet that is tough to get by. But if you beat him, you're you're ready for a top 25 guy, I would say. And I think that's probably what happens. He beats Ione, and they give him a top 25 guy. And Peyton Talbott train keeps on rolling. So give me Peyton Talbott for the early pick. Moving on. Zach Reese taking on Tsarukyan Dumas. So Tsarukyan is 3-2 in the UFC, which is crazy to say. But you look at those 3 wins. It's Cody Brundage, Abu Azaitar, and Dennis Talulin. Probably one of the, probably 3. I don't want to say Cody Brundage is like the worst, but he's just very inconsistent. The other 2, probably the bottom of the barrel of the middleweight division. I actually saw Cody Brundage when we were playing blackjack in Tampa when Dustin Jacoby came and played with us. And Dustin's obviously teammates with Cody. And Cody walked in, and it was like 4 a.m., and I'm tired. And I'm like, oh, it's Cody Brundage. Like, do I say something? I was checked out at that point. It's like 4 a.m. I'm trying to get my money back on blackjack. And I was just like, I don't have the energy for this. I'm not trying to say hi to him or whatever. He seemed like a nice guy, so I'm not going to try to shit on him. I don't think Cody's bottom of the barrel, but he's inconsistent. I'll just say that. Little side story for you right there. But back to Tsarukyan, okay? How could Tsarukyan win this fight? I think he could probably clip Zach Reese with something, because Zach Reese is a guy that will go for the knockout. He'll go for the finish, and he can get caught with something. But is Tsarukyan better than Zach Reese? No. Tsarukyan, he's improving with his ground game, but more of it is just being athletic, getting takedowns, and getting top control, not really doing much with it. And then on the feet, he's a decent kickboxer, but I don't think he has a lot of confidence. He's got a nice little jab. I don't think he has a lot of confidence of letting his hands go. He's fighting against Abu Azaitar, who's like a 40-year-old dude who has no reason to be in the UFC. And he's just not letting anything go. Zach Reese got a lot of confidence. All right, he's back-to-back wins. One was a first-round knockout. The other one was absolute mauling of Jose Medina. He's probably going to go in here looking for a finish. And from what we've seen, if you go at Tsarukyan Dumas with some aggression, he usually folds. Josh Fremd ran through him. Nursultan Ruzaboyev ran through him. I think Zach Reese could probably go out there and roll through. So Zach Reese probably gets a first-round finish, if not early second round, and extends his little 2-fight win streak to 3-fight win streak, and Zach Reese goes home with the W. So give me Zach Reese for the early pick. And let's move on to some women's MMA. Carol Rosa taking on Eileen Perez. Fun story for you. I thought Eileen Perez had blocked me on Instagram because I didn't bet against her last fight, but I made a video when she missed weight and was like twerking, like not really twerking, but like her legs were jiggling because she missed weight and it looked like a bad weight cut. So I put a video out there and she like commented on it or was like, don't doubt me or whatever. And I thought she blocked me. Turns out she didn't. And apparently her Instagram account got removed and then she had to make a new one. So I guess I'm not in the doghouse with Eileen Perez because I thought we were cool. We're still cool, Eileen. I like Eileen. I think Eileen has a tenacity about her that a lot of women's MMA fighters don't have, which I can appreciate. Carol Rosa, on the other hand, she's the favorite in this one, which is weird. I don't want to say weird to me because she's fought the better level of competition and she probably has the better stand-up, but she does struggle with getting taken down. And what is Eileen Perez going to do? She's probably going to try to take you down. That's what she always does. So if she goes into this fight not ready for the wrestling of Eileen Perez, she could get taken down, she could get put on her back, and she could be there for a while. Or she can get back up and get taken down again. So can Carol Rosa keep this fight on the feet? It's possible. I don't think she can't stuff a takedown, but how many takedowns can she stuff? And then on the other hand, Eileen hasn't always showed the best cardio, hasn't always shown the best control on the ground. So there's red flags on both sides. And ultimately, I'm just going to go with the woman that has the wrestling, that has the tenacity that I can appreciate. And I'm going to take Eileen Perez for the early pick. Carol Rosa, her wins really aren't that great. They're not. Like Pani Kiansad, Yana Santos in a fight where she probably lost. I couldn't even tell you the other ones. Like, they're just not good. They're not good. Her losses are okay, but you can't really go off of girls. You can't really go off of fighters' losses and be like, oh, they're good. You got to go off who they're beating. And she ain't really beating anybody that great. So Eileen's getting a step up in competition here. She's the underdog. I think she has the grappling upside. I'll take Eileen Perez for the early pick. And let's move on to some heavyweights. We got Jailton Almeida taking on Sergey Spivac. Jailton, I was big on Jailton until he just completely gave up against Curtis Blades. I really thought Jailton was going to go in there and do what he needed to do. Get a bunch of takedowns, just put him through the ringer, and he was doing it until he failed on a takedown in round 2 and then took a couple hammer fists and just checked out. Now I'm like, I can't trust the guy. Then he goes out and submits Alexander Romanov, and Romanov just got cut. So is that a good win? No. Sergey Spivac, on the other hand, never been a huge believer, but he does have some decent wins that you can look back and be like, okay, this guy's all right. And I guess it helps him in this fight that his base is wrestling. His base is wrestling. His base is grappling. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and try to stand and strike with you. But is he a better wrestler and grappler than Jailton Almeida? Probably not, because Jailton is way more athletic than all these heavyweights. He's way faster than all these heavyweights. And he gets in on your hips. He's strong enough to pick you up and dump you. So he's probably going to be able to do that to Sergey Spivac. And he's probably going to be able to get into some positions where Sergey Spivac doesn't like to be. And Sergey Spivac ain't exactly the guy that's going to go in there and just be able to tough out a win. He's just not that guy. Okay, he faces any type of adversity, he usually folds. So I'll take Jailton Almeida for the pick. I think he probably is able to get takedowns on Sergey early, probably able to get to either a mount on the ground or get to the back, put him in bad spots, either finish him early or just ride out a 3-round, 15-minute of getting takedowns and getting positions that he likes. So give me Jailton Almeida. He's a big favorite, though. I'm not really too crazy about where the line is. I think he's like minus 400 something. Oof. If Spivac is able to stuff a takedown, then you're holding a minus 400 ticket, and you're like, holy, we're screwed. So I wouldn't exactly go crazy on Jailton Almeida from a betting standpoint, but I'll take him for the pick. Rinya Nakamura taking on Muin Gafurov. Tajikistan in the building. Never been high on Muin Gafurov. He had a great performance his last time out against Kyung Ho Kang, though, and that was a nice win for him to put on his career and maybe could turn something around here because he was on a 2-fight losing streak. It wasn't looking amazing for him coming to the UFC. Gets a win. Maybe he could turn it around here, but I think it's an uphill battle, okay, because Rinya Nakamura is a damn good wrestler, and I don't think Muin Gafurov, well, he statistically doesn't have the best takedown defense. I don't really think he's that great of a grappler, and I don't think his cardio is really all that great either. He fought in it was either Saudi or Abu Dhabi his last time out, so maybe his cardio was better because you know what happens when they're in Saudi or Abu Dhabi. But historically, his cardio has not been great. And I think Rinya's cardio is good enough. We saw his last 2 fights. He's able to go 15 minutes and do it pretty dominantly. Rinya's been training at ATT. I looked on his IG. I saw he was training with Pantoja. I said, all right, for a 29-year-old wrestler in the bantamweight division who's undefeated, training with Pantoja at ATT, I like it. I like it a lot. We know Rinya's got power in his hands, but what does he want to do? He wants to get you to the ground with the takedowns. Very, very solid wrestler and an ability to do it for 15 minutes. I think he gets this one done. I think he's able to get takedowns on Gafurov, hold him there, put him through the ringer, and get a decision victory. If not, finish him later in the fight if Gafurov does gas. So give me Rinya Nakamura for the early pick. And before we get into the main card, let me remind you, if you want all my bets, there are many people in my DMs when I post a play that hits. Where was this posted? It's in the Home of Fight Picks Winnable. You can use my code HeyJob. You'll get a 5-day free trial. We almost always have a code ready for you on Friday and Saturday to get you a free trial to try it out. So you can try it out for free, see if you like it. You get the picks sent directly to your phone. I actually sent out a pick or a bet this morning I don't want to say this morning, this afternoon. I have a bet locked in for UFC 311 already. I sent that out this afternoon. They got that sent directly to their phone. They click on it, boom. They see the bet, and then they can go put it in. It's very easy to use. Over the last 2 years, we're up over 145 units. And this year, we've had one card. We're positive 2.48 units. So if you want all my bets, join the Homo Fight Picks premium membership, the Winnable. There's a link down in the description below. You'll get mine, and you'll get Nolan's. Nolan was up over 11 units on last week's card. He has an insane card, great capper as well. If you need a sports book, many people who live in a state such as California or Texas or, I don't know, what are the other ones where you can't use FanDuel or DraftKings or even Florida? I can only use Hard Rock Bet, but I like to shop around, get the best lines because Hard Rock Bet usually doesn't have the best lines. Go to Wager Attack. There's a link down in the description below. It's a sports book available in all 50 states. You'll get a 200% free play bonus, and you get 10% cash bonus if you deposit with crypto. That is every time you deposit. So get free play bonus. You can use it in any of the 50 states. So if you're in California, you're in Texas, those are the bigger ones where you can't use a DraftKings, a FanDuel, whatever, ESPN Bet, Fanatics, whatever. You can't use those. It's not legal there, but you can use these offshore sports books. Use Wager Attack. There's a link down in the description below. Click on it. Get yourself signed up. Get your free play bonus. And you can bet money lines on UFC, props, all the good stuff. Over-unders, fight not to go the distance. It's all there. It's a regular sports book, but it's based offshore, so you can use it in all 50 states. Let's get into the main card. Beneil Dariush taking on Renato Money Moicano. And Moicano is on a great run right now. A great run. How sad would it be for it to just all come crashing down? It's not going to happen, all right? Moicano can't afford to lose. He's going into California, taking on Beneil Dariush, who's on a 2-fight losing streak. He looks like he's, not in that picture, but he looks like he's 80 years old. He is actually the same age as Money Moicano, which is kind of crazy. But stylistically, this will be a tough fight for Moicano because Dariush can scramble, Dariush can grapple, Dariush can strike. Very well-rounded, but when he's faced his losses, it's when he's getting knocked out. The chin is not there. The durability is not there. Now, he hasn't fought in over a year, so that's good for him to take some time off, get recovered, get the chin back, hopefully, for him. And to come in here and take on a rising Money Moicano, who's on a 4-fight win streak, just won 3 fights in 2024, and maybe steal some of his hype. Moicano's coming in here with a lot of hype because he did a lot last year. Beat Drew Dober, beat Jalen Turner, beat Benoit Saint-Denis. And this is a tough matchup for him because if he does get takedowns on Beneil, Beneil is willing to scramble for days. But Moicano has very, very solid top pressure. Very solid top pressure. Very solid top pressure and top control. He's able to flow through these positions better than most of the 155ers. And he's also fairly big for 155. Crazy that he fought at 145. You know, I've seen him next to Gilbert, and Moicano's taller, longer. Gilbert's a lot more filled out. But Moicano's a big 155er. You know, I look at him compared to me, and, you know, he's, I don't want to say bigger than me, maybe a little bit bigger than me. And I'm 5'11", 185, sometimes 190 pounds. And I'm like, how do these guys make 155? So he's a big dude. And Beneil's not a small dude either, but I think they'll match up physically. Physically, I'd give the edge towards Moicano just because I think he's a little bit stronger in these positions. Dariush is a little bit more finesse. On the feet, one thing I noticed is Moicano, his last 3 fights are all southpaws. Drew Dober is southpaw, Jalen Turner southpaw, Benoit southpaw. And he's had success just, you know, staying on the feet, staying, I don't want to say conservative, but staying safe on the feet and finding his entries to get those takedowns. And Beneil, I think he could take down Beneil, and I think he can get top position. Can he keep it? I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say he beats Beneil Dariush. But he's a minus 200 favorite here, which is, Interesting to me. I think that's just more due to the progressions of their career. Moicano's on a win streak, Beneil's on a losing streak, and maybe it could be, recency bias, but stylistically, I would probably cap it more to like a pick'em type of fight. If I'm gonna throw betting odds out there, I would probably cap it more to like a pick'em. But either way, I'll take Moicano to get this one done. I think he can get takedowns on Beneil. It's a 3-rounder as well, and Money Moicano is a finisher. He's a finisher. His durability has always come back to bite him at times, and same as Beneil. So I think I think Kanato can get this one done by getting the takedowns, getting top pressure, doing damage. And we saw when Beneil gets hurt, he took the door against Charles. Moicano's not going to take any doors. Like, you're going to have to knock that dude out clean. Moicano can't afford to lose. He's getting it done. Moving on. Kevin Holland taking on Reinier de Ridder. This one is pretty much lined at a pick'em. Reinier de Ridder coming in the UFC. Very weird fight against Gerald Meerschaert. I could not believe what I was seeing as far as the stand-up goes between like both guys, specifically Reinier de Ridder. I don't think his stand-up is very good, but the guy's ground game is very, very solid. He can get takedowns on Kevin Holland. He's going to be able to go to work very, very quickly because he's going to be bigger than Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is a welterweight. I think the fact that he's just gone back to middleweight is like he just doesn't care anymore. Like his last fight against Roman Dolidze. Dolidze fought at 205 before coming back down to 185. Dolidze's a big dude, and it played a big factor in that one because Dolidze got one takedown, was able to get top control. Kevin Holland couldn't do anything about it, and eventually he broke his rib, I think, in that fight. And now he's fighting, 3 months later? So he broke a rib in a fight, lost it. Now he's fighting 3 months later against another grappler. Kevin Holland's active, and we all love him for that. But as far as a betting perspective goes, I don't really love throwing my money on Kevin Holland in positions where I just don't really see where he could come into this fight being like, I need to win. I don't think he ever thinks that. I don't think he ever thinks I need to win this fight to help my career. Because he doesn't care if he wins or loses. He's showing up for a paycheck, try to put on a fight of the night bonus or get a performance bonus and get paid. So I don't know that Kevin Holland really cares if he wins or loses. Reinier de Ridder, on the other hand, probably cares if he wins or loses. He probably wants to win more than Kevin Holland does. And I think if he comes in here with the game plan of going for the takedowns on Kevin Holland, which he probably will, he's probably going to have some success doing that. He's going to take down Kevin Holland. And from what I saw in the last fight with Roman Dolidze, Kevin Holland couldn't get up. And he got injured doing so. He was injured 3 months ago. I think Rainier's ground game is probably better than Roman Dolidze as far as being on top. Dolidze is very, I don't want to say crafty, but he's very crafty with his jiu-jitsu when he's off his back. But on top, he's not like anything too crazy. I think Rainier's a lot better on top. I think if he can get on top of Kevin Holland, he can do some damage and he can probably submit him. So I'll take Reinier de Ridder on this one just because I don't think Kevin Holland really cares if he wins or loses. 185 is not his weight class. He was injured 3 months ago, and it's just not a great matchup for him. On the feet, obviously, he's going to be the better striker, and he could knock out Reinier. But I'm willing to take the side of the guy that probably has the better game plan, probably wants to go in there and win, and gets it done. So I'll take Reinier de Ridder. Yuri Prochazka, Jamal Hill, the feature bout of the night. Can't wait for this one because I remember way back when Jamal was the champion, and this was the fight that was supposed to be made. Yuri relinquished the title because of his injury. Jamal gets the title, and then once Yuri came back, these guys were supposed to fight to unify. I don't want to say unify the belt, but for Yuri to come back and fight for the title while Jamal had it, and then Jamal got hurt, and then Alex Pereira stepped in, and they fought. So this is a fight that's supposed to happen for a while. And I was thinking, Jamal Hill, I was never a big believer in Yuri just because the guy gets hit so often. And I actually bet against Yuri, against Glover Teixeira. I think Glover was like plus 200. And I'm like, Glover can stand with this guy. And he's probably going to be able to take him down. but then 30 seconds left, gets submitted. Otherwise, he would have won. And after that, I'm like, Jamal, seeing what Jamal did to Glover, I'm like, Jamal's going to piece up Yuri Prochazka if they ever fight. Give me Jamal Hill. And I don't know that it's changed. The only thing that's really changed for me is now that we've seen Jamal Hill get knocked out by Alex Pereira. He had the injury, and then he comes back, he gets knocked out, and then he's supposed to fight again, and then he gets injured again. So 2 injuries and a knockout loss. That's what's changed. Stylistically, nothing's changed, but there's a lot of other things you got to take into account. So I was on Jamal Hill, and then he gets injured, and then he gets knocked out, and then he gets injured again. Do I have to change what I think about the fight stylistically? Not really. I think Jamal Hill is, I don't want to say the better, I think he's the cleaner striker. I don't think he gets hit as often. I think he's more calculated with his approach. Yuri's more of a dog. He's going to keep the forward pressure. He's going to try to walk through the shots, but if he can't walk through the shots, then he gets knocked out. But if he does walk through the shots, he's probably going to end up taking over later in this fight, either halfway through the first or halfway through the second round into the third round, and Jamal's could be in some trouble. But Jamal is a dog. I think I still got to go with Jamal in this one. I'm pretty torn. I'm not like too convinced on either side just because it's a 3-round bout too. You only got 15 minutes to work. I think Jamal is probably sharper in the first round. Yuri's always dangerous in any fight at any moment. But I think Jamal's probably sharper in the first round. He just can't come out hot-headed. He came out hot-headed against Ferreira. Not a good look. Not a good look. If he comes out composed, I'm sure he's probably got a lot to prove at this point after getting knocked out, after having the injuries, that he wants to come out here with a good performance and knock out Yuri Prochazka. And I think he could do it stylistically. But like I said, there's other things you got to take into account. Where's his head at? Is he going to come out? He honestly came out kind of flat against Pereira. Like he was very nonchalant about it. Very dumb. So I can't really trust that aspect of Jamal Hill. Otherwise, I would probably be more convinced that he wins this fight. I'm going to take Jamal Hill for the pick. But, you know, I could see him losing it. It's not one that I'm super confident in. But he'll be my early pick for now. Moving on. Co-main event. First title bout of the night. Gafurov Dvalishvili taking on Umar Nurmagomedov. And if you watched my short form video earlier today, the Habib effect, man. I mean, Umar is a minus 350 favorite to Merab Dvalishvili, who's on an 11-fight win streak, beating guys like Jose Aldo, Petr Yan, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley. Those are some big names. Like most bantamweights, most of the best bantamweights can't say they beat all 4 of those guys. Merab did. Merab's the current champ, and he's a big underdog in this fight. But the thing is, with those 4 names that I just listed, they don't have the wrestling, they don't have the submission game, and the striking might not be entirely worse than Umar's. Or better, I want to say. It might not be entirely better than Umar's striking game. Umar has the complete package, okay? He's a very solid striker, very solid wrestler, very solid scrambler, and he has the submission ability. And he showed in his last fight, he could do it for 25 minutes. Pretty much 50-45 Corey Sandhagen. It wasn't much of a, I don't want to say it wasn't much of a competition, but it was like Umar won every round. Go back and watch it. Umar won pretty much every round. It wasn't like super convincing, but he won them. So Umar can win a decision, he can win a KO, he can win a submission. And I think that's the reason why he's minus 350. Now, obviously, he hasn't had the resume of a Merab, but Merab hasn't faced a wrestler, grappler like this in his rise. And my concern with Merab is, you know, if he can't, he's not a guy that gets you down to the ground and controls you, for one. He's more chain wrestling, chain wrestle, takedown, strike, takedown, put you through the ringer. Umar's just going to counter wrestle and probably end up in a better position. And if Merab is just continuously shooting takedown after takedown, it's just giving him opportunities for Umar to get in better positions and submit him. If he's not going to shoot takedowns, he's not a better striker than Umar. Umar is very fast kicks, very fast hands, very solid movement, very springy. Like, it's just going to be a tough fight for Merab. And I don't want to, like, doubt Merab in this fight, but I just think it's very tough. You know, I could see why Umar is a minus 350 favorite because he's the complete package. 18-0. Younger fighter. Wants to be champion. Here's his opportunity. It's somewhat of a quick turnaround for Merab. I'm sure Merab probably didn't want to fight this early, but at this point, I don't want to say he's pressured into it, but he's probably like, let me just do it because people are pressuring him into it. Let me just do it. Well, you just fought. He didn't really take a ton of damage against Sean, but he just fought, 4 months ago in September. So I don't like that either. Quick turnarounds for a champion. Don't like it. Umar looked great against Sandhagen. I think he probably looks great here. I could see him finishing Merab in this one because Merab can get chinned on the feet. I don't think he's ever been knocked out, but Umar's got some fast kicks. And, you know, one of those little flick kicks, he's hurt a lot of guys with those. And Umar's great at getting to the back, could cinch something in, get a rear naked choke, or even a guillotine on if Merab shoots a sloppy takedown. So give me Umar Nurmagomedov for the pick. You know, the line is, they're not giving it to you for free. I'll just say that. At minus 350. I don't want to say it makes sense, but I could see why he's the favorite. I just didn't expect him to be minus 350. I thought he'd maybe be like minus 180, minus 200. Either way, Umar Nurmagomedov is the pick. And that brings us to the main event. Islam Makhachev is minus 425 favorite to Arman Tsarukyan. And this one, I don't feel like it's as warranted. And I don't want to doubt Islam because I think Islam is the pound-for-pound #1 fighter on the planet. Not John Jones. It's Islam. Okay? It is. It just is. Okay? Islam, very solid overall. His kickboxing has come a long way. And yes, this is a rematch. That fight happened in 2019. Arman has gotten a lot better, but I think Islam has also gotten a lot better. And he's faced a lot of really tough competition to where he's proven it at a very high level. You know, Poirier is still a very high-level fighter. He looked great on the feet in that fight. Obviously knocking out Volk on short notice, but that looks great. His toughest fight was probably the first Volk fight. But honestly, I thought he looked good on the feet against Volk. It just started to gas out late. And his wrestling wasn't as effective on Volk. I don't really think Islam's going to have a ton of wrestling success on Arman. Because I think Arman could probably counter-wrestle, stuff the takedowns, or counter-wrestle and get into some positions to where they're favorable for Arman. But on the feet, I think Islam could probably outstrike Arman. Arman not, I don't want to say he's a bad striker, but it's a lot of feelers. It's a lot of window dressing to look for the takedown. And when he's fighting these guys where he's the better wrestler, I could see why he does that. It's like, why put yourself out there to getting clipped with something like he did against Joaquim Silva, where he kind of got overconfident. He started throwing bombs, then he got cracked with something, and then he was like, all right, I got to get back to my wrestling, and then he TKO'd him the next round. Against these guys where he's the better wrestler, he's not really going out there looking to put your lights out, unless it's a Beneil Dariush, where Dariush's chin is just gone. I think in this fight, he's got to come out with some more confident striking because he's not going to be able to just take down Islam and do what he needs to do with those. He's going to have some type of really confident striking going forward against Islam. You can't go in here looking to win a decision against Islam because it's going to be tough to win 3 out of 5 rounds. Islam it has an ability to win rounds. He's very good at it. And I don't know that he's going to be able to outstrike Islam. I think Islam will probably be the better, or at least have a slight edge in the striking to where he's winning the rounds on the feet. And then it comes down to the wrestling. And I think Islam might get taken down a few times, might not have a lot of success with his own offensive wrestling, but I think it'll probably still be enough. So Islam Makhachev is going to be the pick. I don't really agree with minus 425 on his betting odds because I think Arman is in great shape. I think he poses a real problem to Islam because of his style. He can counter wrestle. I think his striking is decent, and he can put up a good fight. But it's just a very tall task to go in there and win a 5-round fight with Islam without finishing him. And is he going to finish Islam? We'll see. Because he is dangerous enough to do it, but I think it's going to take some type of big overhand right, some type of very well-timed kick to get Islam out of there. I don't think he's going to submit him. He's going to have to probably knock him out or just make it very convincing in 3 out of the 5 rounds. It's going to be a tall task. So I'll take Islam Makhachev for the official pick. Appreciate you for watching this video. Please hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be definitely doing the live call-in show this week. I'm going to get that set up. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go, but we're definitely going to do it. We got the official picks video coming this week and the best bets video for you later in the week as well. Appreciate you for watching. Until next time, hey, Job Picks.